All right, welcome to our last week of angles. We're going to be talking about parallel lines cut by a transversal. So you guys know what parallel lines is. They are two lines that will never, ever, ever touch. They look like railroad tracks. And basically, a transversal is just a line that cuts through those two lines. So if you look at this diagram right here, you have your two parallel lines, and then it's cut by a transversal. Okay, so a parallel line is just or parallel lines cut by a transversal is just those two parallel lines cut by another line. Now, it could also look the other way. So you see how this parallel or this transversal is facing this way. It could also go diagonally the other way and the same properties would still apply. But this is just the one that I went with. Now, if we were in school, we would, of course, be doing this whole thing with a protractor and measuring them and seeing which ones are equal. But given the scenario that we're in, you just got to trust me. So looking at this diagram right here, usually in school after measuring, we would label it with highlighters, and you would only need two colors. And the reason why is because there are only two possible answers. Even though there's 8 angles, there's only 2 possible answers that these angles could be. And the reason why is if you use all of our knowledge that we've learned about angles, vertical angles, so if I'm looking at these two angles labeled blue or highlighted blue, angles that are across the street from each other are equal. Okay, and if we were in school and if we had a protractor, I would prove to you guys that these two angles are also equal to the first two. So you just got to trust me that all of the angles labeled blue are exactly the same. And then all the labels or all the angles that are labeled white in this case are also equal to each other. They're also the same. So you'll notice 1, 4, 5, 8 are labeled blue. They're all the same angle. 2, 3, 6, 7 are all labeled white. They are all equal to the same angle. So for example, if we were looking over here, if I told you that angle 1 was 150 degrees, could you tell me what the other angles are? Now, I use this diagram a lot. This is actually going to be on every single slide because usually in school, the first thing I would tell you guys is to take two highlighters and highlight the angles that you know are the same. So the angles that are across the street that are in kind of like the same place. You see how angle 1 is in the same place as angle 5, angle 4 is in the same place as angle 8. So the first thing that we would do is get a highlighter and highlight the 4 angles that are the same and the 4 angles that are the same. So since we know angle 1 is 150, looking at my original diagram, angle 1, angle 4, angle 5, and angle 8 all have to be the same thing. So if angle 1 is 150, that means angle 4 is also 150, angle 5 is also 150, and angle 8 is also 150. Okay? So they all equal 150, but how can I find the other angles? So I know what angle 1, angle 4, angle 5, angle 8 are. Now I need to be able to find angle 2, angle 3, angle 6, angle 7. If I can just find one of them, I found all of them. So what I see here is that angle 2 is on a straight line with 150, okay? And we know, we already learned that straight lines, they have to total 180 degrees. So 180 degrees minus 150 means that this angle 2 has to be 30 degrees. So if angle 2 is 30 degrees, that means angle 3 is 30 degrees, angle 6 is 30 degrees, angle 7 is 30 degrees. So using our knowledge of vertical angles and straight lines, we were actually able to find all 8 of these angles. This diagram is super important so that you remember which angles are equal to each other and then which angles you have to kind of use the straight angle 180 to figure out what they are.